Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about AllianceBlock, Nexera, whatever you want to call it. It's always going to be AllianceBlock to me. I did take a step a little bit away from this project in the past, just simply after the hack occurred. But since then, listen, I've been hyper focused on Nexera still. AllianceBlock, again, I'm just gonna call it AllianceBlock. I know that you guys are probably gonna hate me for saying that, but it is what it is. As we look at AllianceBlock today, to me, it's still severely undervalued. It's kind of like LCX in a way. I think LCX is also extremely overlooked, undervalued, and there's a lot of gems in this space that could very well do, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100x plus over time. AllianceBlock to me is one of those tokens. With 850 million tokens, 79, almost 80% of the supply out there already, I think that this is an extremely overlooked and undervalued gem. And we're going to talk about why. First and foremost, price-wise, I could see this still coming back down to about roughly 6 cents. At 6 cents, I would be grabbing a decent amount. Anything under 6 cents is a big buy. We might even get another stab at about roughly like 5 cents like we did back in the beginning of June. It's not out of the question, honestly. So, to me, anywhere between 5 to 6 cents, I'll accumulate. Very similar to LCX, right? I was buying around like 5 cents. So, again, long term, this thing's sitting at about roughly almost a $50 million market cap. Absolutely unbelievable. Long term, I could see this thing sitting at about roughly, again, anywhere between like 10 billion is a decent amount in terms of the value on this thing. But we're going to talk about a few things. I'll talk about a price prediction at the end of this video, so stick around until the end. As we do look at utility around NXRA, AllianceBlock, I really do miss the ALBT AllianceBlock token. It sucks, but it is what it is, right? But we do see the utility is built into the entire AllianceBlock ecosystem, very similar to some of the other tokens I've talked about on this channel. Utility is always the big thing that we shine upon. Learn how NXRA benefits from the adoption of the Nexera protocol and AllianceBlock's end-to-end DeFi infrastructure. So here we have the ecosystem vision. I'll open this up in a new tab just so that you guys can see it a little bit better. So here we have the utility. So you have the dApp layer, the protocol layer, and the network layer. It's pretty much similar to what we've seen going all the way back to like 2021 when I was officially talking about AllianceBlock on this channel. We do see the DAO, the funder staking, the nodes, the reputation-based campaigns, the decentralized exchange, and even the DeFi infrastructure. The biggest thing to me on AllianceBlock is tokenization, to be completely honest with you guys. But also the bridging of the traditional world to the DeFi world, which we know is going to become a much bigger aspect. Recently, Larry Fink from BlackRock was talking about FTX, and he said, FTX was not what this space is about. Decentralization opens a door of opportunity like no other. When you have centralization a part of the system, it becomes weaker, more unsecure than ever before. DeFi and the world of DeFi is changing the game, especially for traditional finance. I believe that a bridge is 100% needed, and AllianceBlock could very well be that bridge. I really do think that as we do see the adoption for DeFi, it's going to be players like AllianceBlock that really streamline that process and become key players around it as well. It's a number one reason why I also love LCX as well, because LCX is doing things a little bit differently around crypto exchanges, and they're becoming one of the first regulated crypto exchanges out there. So to me, some of these players like ALBT will be huge opportunities around the evolution of DeFi and even traditional finance. Now, as we do look at AllianceBlock today, they do have quite a bit of partnerships already in place. Some of the big ones are already tokens that I'm a holder of, like Quant, for example. But also their infrastructure and their ecosystem continues to expand upon their original goals. And here we have infrastructure for decentralized tokenized markets. I love tokenization, and you guys know why. I think that it's probably one of the biggest use cases that will happen around the space. And I think that that's where we will see a big part of mass adoption. Now, today I'm going to be really kind of focused on the London Stock Exchange, which we will dive into here in a second, which we've talked about in the past, but I just think that it's more of a it holds a lot more weight to its name today more than ever around that partnership because of the predictions that are coming out around tokenization. But yeah, their website, I've always loved their website because it's straight to the point and really kind of talks to you a little bit about some of the partnerships that they have here, developer wise, startup wise, and even enterprise wise. There's a lot going on within this ecosystem. In fact, if you actually look at some of the ecosystem over here, we have the ecosystem as well, which we will go into. You can see a lot of the value added to AllianceBlock. But down here, we do see a performant, decentralized, and compliant infrastructure for tokenization. Again, like I said, this is streamlining and ultimately building upon the goal of tokenization as a service, which I think is great. And it's an end-to-end infrastructure around this that will allow for businesses, institutions, you name it, to achieve their goals around this new asset class and this new opportunity with tokenization. It also does have secure and decentralized. This is like the whole integration around this, by the way. So we do see easy setup and integration, secure and decentralized, chain agnostic, and compliant by design. This is basically your one-stop shop for tokenization as a service, if you will. And we do see with an expansive ecosystem of partners, collaborators, and builders. And like I said, some of these tokens I already hold, like Chainlink, for an example, or Energy Web Token. These are some big names. You also even see Peak there, which just recently announced that they were tokenizing, I think it was Teslas. Yeah, it was tokenization of Teslas. Like, we've never seen these use cases before. That's the opportunity that the space holds within it. So as we do look at this, like I believe that AllianceBlock is a key player. Over here, we see the AllianceBlock ecosystem. Under this is where we could really kind of see this vision becoming a reality. So let me zoom in real quick, just so that we can really kind of look at this. So first off, the bridge, right? This is creating an ecosystem of stakeholders across the full spectrum of traditional and decentralized finance with a vision to create a fully decentralized and globally compliant capital market. Now, it's not as easy, right, to do this. It's very easy to say it, but it's very hard to actually do this. They are working endlessly to have this become a reality. Here is the AllianceBlock protocol and vision. So you have traditional finance being bridged with DeFi through legal and compliance, and also you have the fintech providers providing KYC, AML, and all the regulatory paths ahead that are needed for this to become a reality. This is exposure to private banks, investment banks, wealth managers, asset managers, stock exchanges, sovereign funds, mutual funds, pension funds, credit union, pretty much everything. All tied into stablecoins, P2P lending, data oracles, yield farming, insurance, decentralized exchanges, derivatives, production markets, NFT markets as well. You know what's funny about this is like derivatives. A lot of people actually don't know how much money is tied into derivatives. It's $1.2 quadrillion. You probably might be thinking, yeah, all right, where'd you pull that number out of? Go look it up. $1.2 quadrillion. Again, there's so much money tied to this. And it's not going to happen overnight. Like, we're not going to see $1.2 quadrillion be injected into crypto overnight. But hey, tokenization will really start to hype up a little bit over the next couple of years. And I do think that we are very early on this. So listen, at first, these tokens will be, worth 10 cents. But at some point in time, these tokens could be worth $10, $100, you name it. And there's a lot of ecosystem participants, financial institutions, data processors, legal and compliance entities, bookkeeping entities, fintech entities, issuers as well, which are investor entities. This is the new generation of globally compliant capital markets. Again, this is something that I think is becoming a big deal. And we even do see connecting global markets on-chain to build an enhanced cross-border financial infrastructure. Again, I really do think that as we look at AllianceBlock and what they are doing, they're becoming the true bridge with traditional finance to DeFi. And it's all through some of their partners and collaborators. Quant is becoming a key player around interoperability and connecting things on the network side of things. AllianceBlock is pretty much bringing them all together for this infrastructure to become a reality. And again, London Stock Exchange. So let's dive into tokenization. So we do see going back to March 31st of this year, killer use case. Citi says trillions in assets could be tokenized by 2030, and that tokenization could grow 80x. So when we look at that, right, they're projecting and forecasting the market to reach between $4 to $5 trillion by 2030 in terms of tokenization itself. Now, we know that this valuation has been significantly different on every every aspect. I mean, we've seen 16 trillion to 20 trillion to 30 trillion to 50. I mean, it's been all over the place, which proves to me that nobody really knows. These predictions are nonsense. I think that honestly by 2030 it could be in the tens of trillions of dollars, because you got to remember that as soon as we start to see tokenization really becoming a big deal and becoming a trend, it's going to grow at a massive rate. Because look at some of these markets, right? You have $187 trillion in sovereign debt. You have 20 trillion over here in real estate funds, which again, the global real estate market's worth $300 trillion. They're talking about tokenizing real estate. You have venture capital, private equity, 7 trillion, 12 trillion here, trade finance, 42 trillion in terms of securities, financing, and collateral. And these are just like the tip of the iceberg. Like there's so much more money out there. Like I said, derivatives are $1.2 quadrillion. I mean, there's so much money. So as we do look at this, like, yeah, there's a lot of money. There's a lot of money that can be disrupted by crypto with tokenization. We even do see over here, like HSBC, Northern Trust estimate 5 to 10% of assets will be tokenized by 2030. And then over here as well, asset tokenization to grow into $16 trillion opportunity by 2030. There's a lot of money, right? A lot of money. The thing is that as we look at this, how is this going to become a reality? Well, it's going to be players like AllianceBlock. Remember, going all the way back to January of 2021, we did see AllianceBlock connect to London Stock Exchange Group partner platform. From here on out, right, I do think that everyone needs to focus on tokenization and the leaders behind it. I think that AllianceBlock is becoming a leader behind this with names like the London Stock Exchange. This is probably one of the most bullish announcements that we've seen around crypto and a crypto project like AllianceBlock. Because again, remember, like nobody cares about this. Nobody cares about AllianceBlock. I know that might just sound terrible, but I'm telling you right now, nobody cares about this right now until it's too late. AllianceBlock, the token, it ran to like $1.20 something. It was great. Incredible gains. Now we have this new token, NXRA, which is still AllianceBlock, if you will. And we don't really have $1 on this chart. We only have this high here of like roughly what, 11 cents? It's practically nothing. There's a post that I seen on Reddit that really kind of sums up the AllianceBlock and the London Stock Exchange game plan here. It got posted by Crazy Patience 921, Krakow01 over on Twitter, I assume. So in this thread, I'm going to reveal the entire master plan. I actually agree with this thread. It's pretty on par with what we've been talking about. So we have said on numerous occasions that AllianceBlock is going to disrupt a $100 trillion securities market. But what does this mean and how will they do it? There's a rumor in the space that AllianceBlock could operate as an informal spinoff of the London Stock Exchange. Honestly, I don't know whether it's true or not, but often rumors become part of reality. Doesn't really matter. Speculation will help this token thrive initially. Long term, yes, we will need to see something. In this thread, we will try to discover what are the reasons behind it. We will highlight the connections between AOBT, LSEG, aka London Stock Exchange Group, and Refinitiv. Let's start. What is London Stock Exchange, which they do break it down. They are a leading provider of financial market infrastructure and financial data analysis, news, and index products to more than 40,000 customers in 190 countries. They are a very large player. The activity is quite complex, but we can summarize the activity into three main categories: data and analytics, capital markets, and post-trade. The primary goal is to offer their customers solutions throughout the trading lifecycle. If you are unfamiliar with it, it may be hard to understand, but you should know that clients who want to make smart decisions need data and analytics. After that, they need a platform where it's safe to execute their decision, and then a place that can help them meet their reporting obligations and reduce operational and regulatory risk. This is the business of the London Stock Exchange in a nutshell. Now, where does AllianceBlock come into place? Well, we do see the answer is simple in terms of why they are so delighted to talk about the London Stock Exchange. A while ago, they partnered with AllianceBlock. This partnership will give you insights to understand the future of traditional finance and DeFi. We repeat it several times that AllianceBlock wants to create the first decentralized financial infrastructure ecosystem and open up a new era in investment banking. This is why they partnered with the London Stock Exchange and why it's so important. Banks, hedge funds, institutional customers will be able to access AllianceBlock products and services directly through their existing connections with the London Stock Exchange Group. At this point, the rumor we mentioned in the opening of this thread becomes real. With that, London Stock Exchange Group has real interest in this partnership for 5 main reasons. They can leverage the knowledge of ALBT. They can have skin in the DeFi world. They can gain competitive advantage over their competitors. They could indirectly invest in the future of finance. They could have control over an entity which in the future can be a competitor. We all know that AllianceBlock will be a key player in the future capital markets, but how exactly can the London Stock Exchange Group use ALBT? Well, through tokenization. With ALBT's compliant P2P and NFT platform, it can be utilized for tokenization of real-world assets. Imagine institutional clients entering the space with the purpose to tokenize shares of companies, invoices, and property that can be leveraged in lending, insurance, or in other DeFi solutions. If you have an idea about derivatives markets, tokenization can be 3 times greater as it can unlock capital and create a new market. We are talking about trillions and trillions of dollars, and actually, we're talking about quadrillions of dollars. DeFi terminal and data tunnel. Many defined AllianceBlock as the new Netflix of data. It's true, but there's more than that. Institutional clients will have access to data and analytics to make the best decisions possible within the DeFi space. Even though I love Netflix, I think it's only a buzzword. AllianceBlock is going to be what Bloomberg Terminal is today, a set of products for institutional investors in the DeFi world. These solutions and advantages that LSEG and AllianceBlock can draw from this partnership are infinite, and we are very early to put binding on this relationship. And yes, we are extremely early. I want you guys to understand that this is a big game changer. Now, of course, at this stage, I could say with conviction, I don't care if it is speculation. AllianceBlock is already an informal LSEG spinoff. In addition, we could say that LSEG not only has interest in the future of the capital market, but has a real interest in the new oil, the data. Back in January of 2021, the LSEG acquired Refinitiv for $27 billion. I love to think of Refinitiv as the AllianceBlock in the traditional world or traditional market. Yes, I said it. So they spent $27 billion to acquire a company that provides information, insights, and technology that enables customers to execute critical investing, trading, and risk decisions with confidence. If you smile, I see you, the future looks great. But what does the LSEG takeover of Refinitiv mean for ALBT? The data tunnel that ALBT is building represents the hub that will aggregate all the data that exists today in the DeFi world already collected, but not structured by oracles. Investors will be able to take the right decisions based on this data, and more important, new products can be built by mixing DeFi and traditional finance data. Refinitiv can and will benefit from this by selling their data to a new user base that has an interest in the data tunnel data. The opportunity is great, and they will benefit from the sale of data as well as the acquisition of data for their customers interested in the DeFi world. The opportunity is tremendous, and this acquisition represents a step forward in fulfilling traditional finance and DeFi being bridged. Digitization and democratization are shaping the way capital markets work. Investors and issuers have changing needs and expectations, and a range of new players are joining the DeFi space. ALBT goal is to fulfill this demand with their suites of products. They are building the future with strong legal partners to attract major actors and institutional investors. So, summed up, I think I already responded to the question, will the LSEG in the future acquire AllianceBlock? The answer is yes, and it will be an agreement worth billions. As investors, KOL, and geek, I am delighted to witness and participate in one of the greatest innovations that the world of finance has ever seen. I'm biased, but I think AllianceBlock is going to change the history of finance forever, and I do agree. Only if you feel that this thread has added value to you, help me educate the broader audience, share it with your friends, and definitely go check out Krako over on Twitter as well as on YouTube. But yeah, I think that this is a game changer. Listen, I've talked about it many times in the past. We are seeing the world of finance and the world itself change through tokenization. The only question is, how much will AllianceBlock be worth? Well, guys, I have to say, it's going to be worth a lot more than what we see here on the screen at about roughly almost 7.5 cents. As we do look at the future of AllianceBlock, I mean, at a $5 billion market cap, this thing is nearly a 93x, almost a 100x opportunity run. In the world of crypto and how it's ever changing, we don't know where AllianceBlock could go in market cap. Even at just $1 billion, it is an 18x opportunity run. At a $10 billion market cap, this thing is almost a 200x. Now, I'm not saying that ALBT is going to be worth $10 billion in this next run-up, but it could very well possibly be. A lot of these tokens, like for an example, Dogecoin or Shiba Inu, have hit well in the tens of billions of dollars. Even at a $50 billion market cap, this thing is nearly a 1000x opportunity run. In my original videos, when I talked to you guys about AllianceBlock and I talked to you guys about how $100 could very well be a possibility for one AllianceBlock token, I did mean it. This is a $74 billion market cap. Now, is it going to happen overnight? No, it's not. But I do think that this could very well be a possibility. We see a lot of people talking about the future of finance and, the future of some of these tokens on how they could reach a $1 trillion market cap. I don't know if AllianceBlock is going to hit a $1 trillion market cap, but could you imagine if it did? I mean, this thing would be almost a 14,000x. It's great to think and it's great to dream about the scenario, but let's start small. Let's talk with $1. I do think that $1 is most likely going to happen for ALBT, very similar to how it did originally back in 2021. I do think that from here we could target some of the higher valuations. I think that when we look at $1 billion or even $5 billion in market cap, that's a pretty good start. But let's talk about $5. At $5, this thing is worth $3.7 billion. I think that this could very well be a possibility. And then from there, we really kind of look at $10 for ALBT, still under a $10 billion market cap. This is why I do focus on ALBT, because I think that the future around the space is very bright. And even if we have to wait long term with ALBT to hit $10, $20, $30, $40, $50, I am totally fine, because again, I am creating a portfolio for the long term here as well. I do have a short term portfolio where I will take profits and I will make a ton of money, because guess what? A 10x in this game is still very large. You don't need a 1000x or a 13,000x or anything like that. But hey, do I think that we will see that happen long term in the next 5 to 10 years? It's very well possible. I think that a lot of these assets are $1 trillion assets in the making. It's just going to take some time. I think that a lot of people undercut what asset tokenization and real world asset tokenization itself will become. This is the next evolution. This will be bigger than the internet. This will be bigger than anything out there that you can think about. It's going to take time, but time, I'm totally fine with it. I'm patient, right? Because some of these assets like AllianceBlock are game changing to the world of finance. And whether or not you believe that AllianceBlock is going to be worth $10 billion in value, or even $100 billion in value, or possibly even $1 trillion in value, well, it's totally up to you, right? In my opinion, this entire asset class is going to be a $100 trillion plus asset class, with probably anywhere between 100 to 200 assets once regulations, and I mean proper regulations, are in this game. 200 assets with a $100 trillion market cap. We could have assets that are in the $500 billion to $1 trillion market cap area. And some of these assets like AllianceBlock that are changing the game around some of these markets, like capital markets, debt, you name it, they're going to be leaders. They're going to be pioneers. So even if AllianceBlock in the future is worth just $100 billion in market cap, I'm still fine with that. I mean, that is almost a 2000x. I am totally happy with that. Now, like I said, this is not going to happen tomorrow, next year, 2 years down the line, maybe even 5 years down the line. It's going to take a long time. But initially speaking, yeah, I think that this thing could very well go to a $10 billion market cap. Again, do you need to have it hit a 200x to make a ton of gains? No, you don't. I mean, even at $1, I will be happy with ALBT, because this is still a 13x. I do have higher valuations that I'm looking at, like $3 to $5. $3 to $5 is fine. And I think that that's conservative. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know down in the comments below. But if you guys did enjoy this video, definitely hit that like button, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As it's up to you all. Have a beautiful day or a beautiful night. Wherever you guys are on this video, this has been Nick. Peace out, guys.